Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. This is Carmen with Elemental Designs here. How is everybody doing today? So you guys, as I had previously mentioned during some of my last art journaling videos, I'm going to be starting kind of like a how to get started or how to break into art journaling type of series. And in this video, I'm going to be discussing all the different mediums and just different things. And once I'm done with these introductory videos, I'm going to be pretty much posting a couple of, I guess, prompts so that if you would like to join me and follow along with what the next classes are going to be, you can go ahead and do so. I'm going to be doing videos where we're going to be creating our first background and just pretty much showing you guys different ways of creating your first background or breaking into a page, if you will. We're going to be, I'm going to be pretty much saying like the 3 colors that I'm going to work with for that day, and just kind of breaking it down in a simpler way, and hopefully you guys can follow along. And every one of those videos is going to be an addition to that page. So hopefully by the time that I am done with the series, we'll have a completed art journal page, and you'll get a little bit more understanding as far as to, how to go about, starting. So without further ado, first let's discuss what art journaling is. So the first thing that I wanted to show you are just pretty much different things that you can use as far as art journaling is concerned. I personally like to use old books and or sketchbooks, and this is the one that I'm currently working on now. This sketchbook is by Royal and Langton. It's kind of hard to pronounce that word, but Royal and Langton, which you guys have probably seen many of their products, in your local craft stores. They sell everything from brushes to books to just all different kinds of things for, for art. But any kind of book will do, new, old. Let me show you. I'm going to give you kind of like an idea. So we have a book like this, right? This one is Charlotte's Web. But let's say it was like an older kind of beat down book, or a book that is no longer of use to you. You can use something like this to create your art journaling, right? You can definitely use something like this. I also have this one here, which has like those manila type cardstock pages. These pages are very thick. You can also do that. I will also be showing you somewhere before we start our official, follow along series. I will also be showing you how to create your own art journal book, out of cereal boxes, cardstock, even scrapbook paper, just things that you have in handy. So if you're not, if you don't have one or you don't know how to go about making one, I'll show you how to do that in a later video. And then I have the one that I use, which I just pretty much started working in this one here. And I do everything from painting to just playing around with like collaging and different things. And as you can see, we have some cute pages, some ugly pages. I have some sketching, which I actually do enjoy doing as well. We have collaging and just all different kinds of things that you can go ahead and do. I have videos for this one. This is just me kind of playing around with just different techniques as far as, acrylic paints. We have this one. We have, many different ones. That one. These are one of the latest ones that I have created. And this is the last one that I've made so far. Actually, no, it's not. I'll show you the one that I've been working on so far, which is that one with these little monkeys that I'm still trying to figure out what to do with. So, but the paper itself, it's not thin and it's not thick. It has somewhat of a texture to it. So I find it to be a really good kind of book to, do art journaling in. It holds the gessos and things like that very well. But if you do find yourself with a thinner book or a book that has thinner pages, then all you simply have to do is glue the two pages together, the two pages that you're going to be using. So you glue it to the one before and the one after, and then you'll have a thicker page so that you can go ahead and spread your mediums. So art journaling, to me, because I'm only going to speak from my personal experience and how I kind of got into art journaling. For me, art journaling is a book about self-expression. You know, you can pretty much do all kinds of different things in your art journal, from keeping it as a private diary where you just kind of express your feelings in written as well as illustrated work. Or you can use it, you know, to actually go ahead and just play around with different, you know, paints and mediums and markers and all just different kinds of things. It can be very mixed media or not mixed media at all. It all depends on how you want to approach going into art journaling. There's many different ways of, you know, doing it. You can do the mixed media style, which is incorporating paints, inks, and just all different kinds of things. Or you can use it for simple collaging, where you're just, you know, gluing down paper, decoupaging paper on top of paper on top of paper, and just adding different focal points here and there to create your page. That's also art journaling. Or you can go about just drawing, hand drawing, and using, you know, as little supplies as possible. You can pretty much go about it in so many different ways. It's all about how, you know, what you feel and what makes you happy when it comes to how you know, lay your work down. So that's what art journaling is to me. So the one of the very first things that you need, and that's if you are going to get into the kind of art journaling, like the kind of art journaling that I do, which is the kind that uses mixed media, paints and wet mediums, dry mediums, all different kinds of mediums, then you're definitely going to need some gesso. This is the gesso that I'm currently using, and it is a gesso by Deco Art, and it's part of their media line. I'm going to show you a little bit of the texture, and this is why I put this here. So pretty much what gesso does is it primes your surface. It can also be used to block out certain images or things that you want to push into the background. But mostly it is used for prepping your surface. And what I mean by prepping your surface is that when you're going to be working with paints and sprays and water and different things, you don't want to damage the page. You don't want your page to start tearing, you know, at the seam where it is either sewn and or glued. You don't want your book to become undone. So we use gesso in order to, you know, kind of protect that surface for all the things that we're going to be laying over it. So as you can see, I've added some gesso here. Right, and usually gesso dries pretty quickly, but if you want to speed that process up, all you have to do is apply some kind of heat to it. You can do that with a blow dryer if you don't have an actual heat tool handy, and just, you know, kind of apply some heat to it, and it'll dry, you know, within a few seconds to a couple minutes. And now I'm going to show you. So you see, and that's applying it directly. If you would like a more translucent effect, all you have to do is apply a little bit of water. Just mix that gesso with a few drops of water, and that'll thin it out for you, and then you'll be able to see more of the image behind it. It's a technique that I use a lot throughout my art journaling. I either go at it straight, or I will water it down and kind of create what they call a gesso wash, where you still want the images in the background to show. Which is really useful, especially if you're using decoupaging or you've done a lot of stamping and or adding different things to your background that you would like to still be able to see, but still somehow keep in the background. So pretty much to that gesso, we can apply, you know, any kind of wet medium. And I will show you how the spot that is gessoed as opposed to the spot that is not, and kind of what happens to your paper when you apply that. This is a little wet. I'm not going to use a heat tool, I don't think, at this point in time, but if I feel like I need to demonstrate other things, then I'll get that. I didn't apply enough. This is good paper. So pretty much, but you could definitely feel it. Here, when you apply, you can definitely see that the paper becomes very easily undone, right? You see me kind of getting that pulp out, which is that paper, right? Meanwhile, while on the gesso, you can rub it all day long with all different kinds of things and you don't get that pulp. The paper in the bottom, I brought some over from the other side, but the paper in the bottom underneath the gesso is perfectly fine and will not become undone because you've applied gesso over it. Right? So you can see how it got lighter there. Hopefully you guys can see that it got lighter there, but not there. When you're dealing with thinner paper, your paper will tend to buckle in different spaces depending on, you know, if it's raw paper or if it's got gesso. When it's got gesso, it does a lot less buckling than how it does when it's just regular paper. So that's pretty much what that is about. And that is a spray paint that a spray bottle that I made myself out of some acrylic paints, but we'll go over that in a second. Let me just clean my hands as much as I possibly can. So pretty much to apply gesso, you can apply it with a brush, you can apply it with a sponge, you can use an old credit card or an old plastic kind of card. You can also apply it with a spatula, or you can even apply it with your hands, as you just saw me do. You can apply gesso in so many different ways using so many different tools or no tools at all. Just make sure that your gesso dries well before you go applying your next layers of either mediums, paints, so on and so forth. Okay, and now I'm going to show you how you can make your own gesso. So what you're going to need is a jar. You're going to need some baby powder. I prefer, for my personal preference, starch-free, only because I found that when I did use the one that had starch, it broke down a lot quicker, and it created a smell that I did not like at all. It started to go bad. So I can use this one, or you can use a better brand. Just make sure that it's non-starch. Unless you're only going to be creating small quantities as you need, which you can definitely do. So pretty much we're going to need a jar. We have our baby powder. We're going to need a little bit of acrylic paint if you want to make a better quality gesso. But if you don't have any paint, then you don't have to apply paint to it in order to still be able to get the gesso. And we're also going to be using some type of school glue. Again, this is a more inexpensive brand. Preferably, you want to use the Elmer's glue or something of that quality. This is a little bit more watered down and it will break down a lot quicker when you use these cheaper kinds of glues. So let me just show you how I'm going to go about creating this. And the recipe that I am going to use, well, an approximation, I'll give you the recipe, but I'm not going to use that exact recipe for this. It's going to be 1/4 cup of baby powder. You're going to need 1 tablespoon of glue. You're also going to need 1 tablespoon of your acrylic paint in white or any color that you wish, because you can make black gesso or any other color gesso if you wish, just by adding the different color paint to it. And also you're going to need a little bit of water, and your water you're going to be adding it in small increments just to get the consistency that you want. We have different ranges of gesso, all the way from loose, very loose gessos that are used mostly for gesso washes, or you can create a really thick gesso, which usually gets used for canvases and things that you really want to have that weight and that substance, and you're really going to be layering on a lot of different things, right? So I'm going to go ahead and open up my glue bottle and get that going. I'm going to go ahead and open up my water now, and I have my measuring cup. And I guess I will just go ahead and create the recipe as it is. And I will have this recipe down below for you guys in the description area. So if you would like to try to make this at home and get yourself ready, especially if you're going to be following along with the future videos that I'm going to be creating, where I'm going to be doing like a follow along type of a video series, then definitely go get yourself your gessos prepped and stuff like that if you don't already have it. So And you saw how the regular gesso was applied. And just mix it till you get all the lumps out. I like that consistency. Easily spreadable. But I can still manage to see some of the design in the back. If you don't want your page to kind of buckle, then just heat it up, dry it up sooner rather than later. And then you won't get that buckling. All right, so that's how we create gesso. I'm going to cover the gesso up in an airtight container and make sure that you label your gesso so that you know that that's your gesso. Okay. Now the next thing that we're going to talk about, matte medium is the glue that we use for the most part to glue down our images and or to add a top coat over images that have been glued onto your page, regardless of what glue you use to glue them down. And I'm just looking for my matte medium. Hopefully I brought it. Oh, it's right here. I just put that right over my baby powder. So this is your matte medium. Why is matte medium important? Matte medium creates a non-porous surface. It acts as a sealer and a protector, okay? Different than your gesso, most of the time, your matte medium, well, actually not most of the time, all the times that I've seen so far, it is very translucent, even though in the jars or bottles, they can appear white. Once you apply it, they do dry clear. Matte mediums are usually archival, which means that they will not create yellowing on your page over time. So as you store your art journals and you open them up again, they should be in the same exact condition as the last time that you used it. Let me cover up this paint. It's right here. Until I'm ready to use that again. And so when decoupaging and or adding your elements to your page, or simply because you would like to create a non-porous surface, you use matte medium. You can also create your own version of matte medium, which is the DIY version, and all you need to create that, which I won't be creating it here, but I will show you, is school glue and a little bit of water. So I would say 2 parts glue to 1 part water. So if you were using, let's say, a little cup like this, you will fill up this cup twice with glue and once with water, and thin it out and store that in a jar and consider that your matte medium until you are more aware of working with it and are able to, go and purchase a different brand or try out different brands. So this is how you would pretty much make your matte medium. And in the classes that the videos that I'll be having moving forward, I will show you guys more or less the importance of actually having the matte medium. So if you are going to, let's say, go and buy some products to get yourself started with art journaling, I would definitely say get your gesso and definitely get your matte medium. And then the third thing that we're going to talk about today is going to be your modeling paste. And I will show you how to create your own modeling paste, as well as show you how, give you a little demo of how that works. So in order to create your own modeling paste, what you're going to need, again, is a jar, some baby powder, and some paint. And for this one, you will not be using any water, okay? So pretty much in the same way that we created our gesso, we're going to be creating our paste. The difference with this style of measuring is that we're going to be using them in parts, as opposed to, how I use a quarter of a cup and then different variables. Here, for this is going to be 1 part baby glue, 1 part paint, and then half a part of glue, okay? And you're going to mix, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So we have our jar. Okay, on your backgrounds or your projects. You can apply this to pretty much all different kinds of things. Doesn't necessarily have to be for art generally. If you are a card maker and would like some texture and don't want to necessarily emboss it with an embossing folder, then by all means grab your paste, uh, grab yourself a stencil, and run that through. You can also apply this without a stencil if you just want to add a dimension to your background or what you're working on. You could just apply it straight and add your different amounts here and there. So I'm going to use a stencil, and I have different stencils here which I will go over with you guys. I have inexpensive stencils from Dollar Tree. I have more expensive stencils from Deco Art, and these are part of their Americana line. I'm going to use for a stencil this. I'm going to look for a stencil that's not too big, in which I can demonstrate to you just different techniques. I think this one will work. And when it comes to stencils, what I would recommend is get yourself a few different ones. There are also ways that you can make your own stencils, but if you guys would like to cover that in a separate video, then let me know, and I will show you how to go about creating your own stencils. So I have my stencil here, and let me just make sure that I'm using this in the right direction. And so that you guys can see it, I'm going to apply it right over here in this corner here. And what I am going to use actually to apply it is a different kind of spatula, only because I like the straighter edge on that one better. If I can find it, I know I brought it. I'm going to do it. Oh, there it is. I like personally using things that have a longer straight edge, only because it allows me to apply more products in a more evenly distributed kind of fashion. But you can play around with different kinds of spatulas to see which one works for you. Everybody's hands works a little bit different. So I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to use the word live. So I'm just going to hold this stencil down, grab some of my paste, and I'm just going to apply it flat down. And you can definitely go ahead and play with that. I didn't hold it down as well as I should have. I'm at a very weird kind of angle here. So let me try again. That's a very bad example. Let's see. Let's use. Let's go right here into some of these areas here, and I just need to hold this flat. Stencils do tend to lift, and depending on how thick your paint is, and I mean your mediums are, like your modeling paste, you can get them to kind of go under, which is why sometimes a thicker modeling paste is preferred, because it won't seep under as easily. That was a good stencil right there. And hopefully you guys can see how now it created a little bit of dimension. If you want it to be higher dimension, then just, like I said, make your gesso thicker, and then you can just easily clear up the rest. Now we do have modeling paste that does dry translucent, so if that is something that you are looking to get, then that's also something that is available on the market, just in case you do end up making a little mistakes, and when you do clear it off, you'll have a nice clean surface. But usually, for the most part, since we end up coloring over this anyway, these little specks that we tend to clean away will be covered up by your backgrounds overall. So this is pretty much how we do that. This one, it came undone because, again, it went under. And then you would let this dry and or heat set it, which I'm not going to do on this video here. I'm just going to put that to the side.